So today we're going to be talking about Aizawa or Eraserhead from My Hero Academia because there is a topic that I want to talk about. And the reason why I've decided to talk about this is because recently on Twitter, I think it was a few days ago now, some guy said that Aizawa could potentially have single-handedly dealt with All for One because of the fact that he can nullify, anyone's quirk. So I thought I'd talk about this in a video because you know what? I just want to. I really do. I don't know if anyone else has talked about this. Maybe they have, but I haven't really looked it up. But well, I want to talk about why I think Aizawa could never honestly nullify All for One's quirk. But before I talk about that, I am going to talk about, the obvious shit, which is why Aizawa wasn't at Camino along with everybody else, because a lot of people were thinking, well, why wasn't he there maybe, right? Maybe you ask yourself this. And the reason is, of course, the fact that Aizawa along with Vlad and then Nezu, who's the principal of UA, they had to be part of the press conference, so they couldn't really be part of the whole thing surrounding the raid on the League of Villains. He couldn't really be a part of that because he had to take responsibility because he was one of the teachers who were present at the time when Bakugo was kidnapped and every student were attacked by the League. It's just one of those things that you gotta do as an adult, as a grown-up. You have to actually take responsibility, especially when one of your students or more of your students are put in harm's way because of your incompetence or because you didn't take enough precautions to prevent this. And Aizawa has to be there. He cannot just leave. He cannot just be part of the whole raid on the League, and that's that. He has to be at the press conference. Simple as that. But that's not really what this topic is about. What I'm going to talk about is All for One's quirk. And this is where things get kind of spicy because, as you should know, you do, if you've kept up with the anime and if you read the manga, whatever you've done, All for One has one quirk called All for One. Quite simple. It's a quirk that allows him to take other quirks and provide them to himself or to other people. That's what his quirk does. So let's ask ourselves this. Can Aizawa tackle this? Had he been at the scene, and I'm going to be straight with you, this is going to be a small spoiler from the manga in regards to Aizawa's quirk. So I'm going to give you 3 seconds to leave if you don't want to see this, but it's nothing big, I promise you. 1, 2, 3. Aizawa's quirk puts the quirk muscle, as it's called, or something similar, which triggers a quirk. It puts it to sleep, while his quirk is active, of course, which is just for as long as he can keep his eyes open. All for One has more than one quirk. Let's just discuss that. Aizawa puts said quirk muscle to sleep, but there is no implication as to what would happen if the target has more than one of these quirk muscles. If more than one is present in a single body, there's an incredibly high possibility that only one will be disabled. And why is this? Imagine a computer program, the program being Aizawa's quirk, and it's by genetic means programmed to disable the quirk in that person. However, it is not familiar with the concept of multiple identical quirk muscles, and it will by default ignore any other quirks in that body simply because of this. It's only programmed to handle one quirk. So even if All for One loses one of his quirks, that still leaves every other quirk that he currently has in his body. This is, however, just of course my take on this. It hasn't been confirmed if this is exactly how things would go down. However, we can assume this is the case because of, well, firstly, every quirk has limitations. This applies to Aizawa as well. It has a limit as to what it can do. We know it has a drawback, which is the fact that he can't keep his eyes open forever, meaning he can't keep his quirk active forever. That's his drawback, in the way that his eyes will dry out very quickly if he overuses this quirk. But his limitation could very well be that he can only really disable one quirk in one person, because, well, that's how quirks are in most people. You only have one quirk, so that's kind of a natural thing, meaning that Aizawa's quirk is probably just by default programmed to handle that. It's not meant to do anything beyond that. Even if it can disable one quirk in multiple individuals, it may only be able to handle one quirk per individual. Another thing that I'm going to bring up is the whole thing with eye contact, which a lot of people assume is needed for Aizawa, which isn't actually true. I do admit it would be better if eye contact was a must for his quirk to activate, but that's not how Horikoshi wrote it actually. A good example is how he nullified I think it was Shigaraki, without making direct eye contact at the USJ. Just thought I'd clear that out just in case anyone thought to bring that up. My previous points are enough to at least with a strong likelihood say that Aizawa wouldn't stand a chance against All for One, and that he cannot nullify the entirety of his quirk. Maybe one of the amount of quirks that he has though, but just not all of them. He would get absolutely bodied by All for One in an instant. Anyway, I'm going to end the video here, so I'd love to know what you guys think about this idea that Aizawa can absolutely not nullify the quirk of All for One. Even if you can maybe remove one quirk, there's still a lot of other quirks to handle when it comes to All for One, because he has a lot of them. I don't know the exact number, but there's quite a few quirks to deal with, and Aizawa's quirk, quite frankly, I don't think it can take away all of them. And as always, if you did, be sure to Detroit smash that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. This has been Chaotic Plus, and remember, Toga is waifu, Toga is laifu.